Hi, I'm Michael McPadden from the Tango API team, here to talk to you again about Tango's Mobile Procurement REST API, sometimes referred to as MobProc for short. In this video, I'll be telling you about the pagination of collection endpoints. Some endpoints in the Mobile Procurement API have the potential to return very large amounts of data. If they returned all the results in a single payload, these responses could be hard for API consumers to manage and navigate. Furthermore, querying the backend source system for a massive result set could also degrade performance and possibly even result in a timeout before the server is able to pass back these results to the API. To avoid these issues, we have added pagination support to the selected API endpoints that are most likely to return very large unbounded collections. These include collections from the catalog for devices, plans, and accessories, as well as collections for device and service assets, the orders collection, and the employees collection. In this video, I'll tell you about two required query parameters for getting a paginated collection: limit and offset. I'll also tell you about the metadata properties returned in a paginated response. Next, I'll show you an example of a paginated collection using our developer portal. And finally, for consumers of the API whose source system is Tango Premium Mobile, also known as Command, I will explain a special limitation and how the offset parameter is used to determine the current page. Okay, let's begin with an API request. A request for a paginated collection requires two query parameters, limit and offset. The limit parameter sets the maximum number of items to be included within the response. Please note that this is a subset of the total number of items contained in the entire collection. We only get back the number of items that we set for our page size via this limit parameter. The offset parameter designates the index of the item in the collection where we wish to begin our current page of returned results. So for example, say we have a collection that contains 42 items. If we set limit equals to 10 and offset equal to 30, then our response would return the third page in our collection. It would contain 10 items, and the first item would be the 30th one in the overall collection. Now let's talk about responses. Every collection will return two metadata properties regardless of whether or not a collection is paginated. They are total count and href. The total count indicates the total number of items in the entire collection. The href is the fully qualified URI that will return the same group of items that are currently being returned in the response. Now, granted, this URI might be of limited value when the results are not paginated. However, when results are paginated, the URI will return up to 4 other URIs: href previous, href next, href start, and href end. Together with the href for the current page, these URIs are very useful to consumers who need to navigate across the pages in the result set. Specifically, they target pages for results that are relative in position to the current page. Href previous is the URI that targets the page of results that occurs immediately prior to the current page. For example, if the third page is being returned, then the href previous would return the URI for obtaining the second page. Href next targets the page immediately following the current page. Href start targets the first page in the collection, and href end targets the last page in the collection. At most, all 4 of these properties could be returned, but in some cases, only some of them might be. The API will not return one or more of these 4 optional href properties if it targets the same page as the href for the current page. So for example, say the href property, the one targeting the current page, returns page 1. Then the value for the href previous property would have also targeted the same page since there is no page before the current page. Well, since the href property and the href previous property would be set to the same URI, the href previous will not be included in the meta block. This behavior can be very helpful for consumers of the API who are using it to display a pagination control in their user interface. By simply checking for the presence of the property, the consuming application can easily enable or disable, as well as set the target for pagination links on their user interface screen. Now let's see an example of all of this in our developer portal. Okay, to begin, let's go to the employees collection endpoint. I'll click on the Get tab to expand it, click on the Try It link to get our input form, check off my scope, put in my tenant, my client ID. Down here in our query parameters, you'll see a limit and an offset. Limit defaults to 10 and offset defaults to 0. This will return pages of 10 items starting with the first item. Let's change this limit to 5. And we'll change the offset to 15. Okay, and then we'll submit. Notice the following properties. Our total count, there are 75 items in our collection, but 5 items are included in this response, which is our limit of 5. The href is the URI of the current page, that is the 5 items returned within this response. The href previous is the URI for the page for the set of items immediately preceding this current page. Notice the offset of 10, which is an offset of 15 less the limit of 5. href next is the URI for the page immediately following the current page. href start contains the URI for the first page in the collection. Notice the offset always equals 0 since href start, by definition, is always the first page in the collection. And the URI for the last page in the collection is href end. For this property, the offset equals 70, which is the index of the first item on the last page. Now, before I wrap up, I just want to make one important note that could affect you depending on which Tango source system platform you currently subscribe to. Most users of this API will be subscribers to Tango's Matrix platform. However, some of you who are not yet using the Matrix platform might be currently using one of Tango's older platforms, such as Premium Mobile, which is also known by some by the name of Command. Please note that this last topic is only relevant to clients subscribing to the Tango Premium Mobile platform. The Premium Mobile platform has some limitations that affect how it uses the offset query parameter to determine the current page. Instead of always starting the current page with the offset item, the current page will contain the offset item. However, its position is not guaranteed to be the first item in the return page. It simply is guaranteed to be included somewhere within that page. This subtle difference in behavior is due to the fact that Premium Mobile calculates its pages before taking offset into account, rather than including it in its calculations for determining the pages. So for example, say you have a collection of 30 items, and you submitted your request with query parameters of a limit of 10 and an offset of 17. Premium Mobile will first calculate where pages break by dividing the total collection, 30, by the limit, 10. This will result in 3 pages. Next, Premium Mobile will determine which of these 3 pages includes the item with an index of 17. So, in our example, that would be the second page, since it includes index items 10 through 19. Just to be clear, this behavior only applies to Premium Mobile subscribers. API consumers who subscribe to the Matrix source system will not see this alternate behavior, but rather they will see the offset work as described in the first part of this video. That is, the item indicated by the offset parameter will always be the first one in the response. If you're unsure as to whether or not you are a Premium Mobile subscriber, you can call the diagnostics endpoint. In the response, look for a code ID of product. This diagnostic will include a description set to command if you are a Premium Mobile platform. So that's what you need to know about paginated collections. They use pagination to restrict very large, unbounded collections to a manageable size. The response provides an API consumer with enough information to navigate their collection, as well as provide data that is needed to maintain proper state and a pagination control that they may wish to display in their user interface. Requests for pagination collections require 2 parameters, limit and offset. Limit determines the size of the page, and offset determines where the current page begins. All collections return a total count, which is the number of items in the entire collection, as well as an href, a URI that will fetch the current page or results. Responses for paginated collections can also include some combination of the following 4 parameters: href previous, which returns the URI that fetches the page immediately preceding the current page; href next fetches the page immediately following the current page; href start fetches the first page in the collection; and href end, which fetches the last page. I hope you found this video useful. For more information and tutorials on other topics, we recommend browsing the mobproc API video library at mobproc.tv, and our documentation website at mobproc.info. That's all for now. Thanks for watching and have a great day.